All right, everybody, I guess we will get started. My name is John Obstein. I'll be kind of emceeing tonight, and don't worry, you didn't miss an election or something. I know that's the only reason I'm ever here is to, do all candidates meetings, but don't worry about it. You didn't miss anything. There is an election for a little bit. So, but we would like to welcome you all to this community meeting. This is our community, our meeting, and but what I'm going to do is hand it off right away to Sharon to talk to you.
Hi there, I'm Sharon Barkley, and I'm the chair of NCCC, which is the Nassagaweya Community Consultation Committee, which many of you are aware of. And we actually had planned this meeting initially as a meeting to talk about traffic and Nassagaweya and concerns and safety and all of those things. And then we had the meeting in August with Lisa and realized that we needed to have a follow-up to that, and this is an opportunity to do that. So we had a little bit of a rethink and decided that we were going to have a workshop-style meeting where people can sit in groups, and then we'll coalesce from that group the concerns around traffic and safety on our roads. And we hope to do that at the end of November, early December, but for some reason, town staff and regional staff are really busy with something called a budget. And so Colin assures me that we should be able to do that, sort of February, March. So we will look forward to that. But in the interim, we had invited, the NCC, as you know, safety is our focus, and then we run the rural watch. And we have a representative from the fire department, and we have a representative from the police department. And actually his supervisor was available tonight when we asked. So Sergeant Dodds, if you would like to come up, Sergeant Dodds gave us an absolutely fabulous overview of what Halton Police, the Milton Detachment, does in this area, in our area. So I asked him if he would mind just doing a little recap, and if you have questions at that point, you can ask him, and then I will step back and put on a different hat.
Thank you for inviting us here tonight. My name is Rick Dodds. I have been the sergeant of the Milton District Response Unit for the past 3 years. It's nice to be at a meeting in person. I've met some of you through Zoom. I think, Sharon, this is our 4th meeting that I've attended with us. And so what I did in our last meeting is I gave a brief PowerPoint. I brought a teammate from our team, Laura Brooker, and Laura spends at least 3/4 of her time doing enforcement up here, and she'll be able to answer some questions which I may have an issue with because she actually works up here a lot. So I worked up here when I was in uniform patrol as a constable, and you'll remember when you used to have Nassagaweya officers. So I was up here probably 2011, 2012, maybe a little later. My wife says I'm terrible with time. I came out of the Tactical Rescue Unit and spent 2 years up here as a community officer. Enjoyed my time up here. And I was born and raised in Acton, so I'm very familiar with your area. I train on my bicycle out in this area all the time. I've done at least 1,000 kilometers out here training this year. So I'm familiar with your roads, where you live. You'll see sometimes as I go through this presentation that I'm familiar with a lot of your complaints, and I'll explain that as we go along, okay? So I thank Laura for coming, and I thank you for having us out here. So first, let's talk about the complaint system, because I know there's a lot of questions about that. So I deal with over 500 complaints from one district every year. And that can be call-ins to the police department about driving complaints, or your complaints that you do online, and we call them road watch complaints. So at least 3 times a week, I have to go onto that road watch system, and I see the complaints that come in from here. And I want you to know I do read your complaints, and I do assign the complaints to officers such as Laura. All right? So something is being done. I do get complaints about why I don't call you. That's 500 complaints a year, plus my other responsibilities. So please know that I do see your road watch complaints, and they are filed and being worked on. And when I file them to a police officer such as Laura, she has to actually do a report on those complaints, okay? So that's part of the analytics that we work with. Where are the complaints coming from? Who's doing those complaints? And we put it into a report so those complaints are now registered, all right? As well, the counselors and I work very closely, and I get complaints from them, all right? So when you, yeah. So when you email your counselor and he says he's sending it to the traffic sergeant, that would be me. And then I, therefore, then put those complaints to my officers who do a report, and the complaint system is in. I also work very closely with the region and the town of Milton. And for example, I know you're having an issue when the 401 starts clogging up or they close it down, that the trucks and everybody are coming into town. The issue is that four-way stop downtown Campbellville. That is a regional four-way stop. So I work close with our regional partners, and we're trying to find solutions for you to keep that traffic moving and out of the way, okay? So we do this and then we have that. I wish we were on Zoom, kind of, because I do have an updated PowerPoint that I would like to show you about what we've done for enforcement up to date. Now, I have heard complaints that we are not in this area. I want you to know that we have a heat map that I just had made up for our enforcement for this year, and my officers actually spend more time out here than we are in Milton. And you have to understand, we have school complaints in Milton, speeding complaints, noise complaints, but your complaints, and we know your complaints are legitimate, so we deem them high risk, and my officers are out here pretty much every day. We've given out we're close to 600 enforcement tickets, and that doesn't include our, what's the word I'm looking for, intoxilizer, our impaired enforcement for our 946s, 945s, so for our suspensions, our impaireds, our trucks. So I actually have a truck inspector on my team. He's out here inspecting trucks. Laura can attest to the fact that we are stopping trucks on no trucking roads, making sure that what they're doing is not a local delivery, and we're enforcing that, and on and on. So we actually spend more time out here than we do in the town of Milton or Georgetown. And because your roads are two-way roads, they are deemed high risk. So we are out here a lot. And when I say to you, like, we've given out 700 traffic tickets out here, we've given out more than that. Just in part ones, which is a normal ticket, which you see. Laura and her partner have done at least 78, is my last count, of stunt driving offenses out here. And that doesn't count as a part one. That's called a part 3 offense, where we seize the car, we seize the driver's license, we tow the car. Laura then has to do a brief. It takes about 3 hours for that officer that does a stunt driving charge out here. It takes about 3 hours for him to process that one person, okay? And you can understand why we're taking that person's driver's license away for 15 days and impounding their car for 30. So we need to show the responsibility on that as well, okay? What am I missing? Why don't you pick up for a second here? You want to talk about the areas, and then I'll talk about where we focus.
Sure. So a lot of the stunts, if you guys follow our Twitter account, every picture you see with LB, that's myself. I'm the operator of that Twitter. All those stunts have been in your area. Recently I've been posting where they're from, because a lot of concern is it's not local, it seems to be people commuting. So you're just the blip in their map to get to where they gotta go, which is the 401, which I know we all love dearly. So they're just trying to avoid that. So they're using those back roads to get there quickly, and we're getting out there at 7 in the morning. You might have saw a recent one. It was a lady, she was doing 102 in the 60 and then 114 and 50 on Tremaine Road. So we're getting up there earlier and earlier to try to get those people. Because we know you guys are also getting to work. There's school bus zones out there still in the rural area, especially right here, right in Brookville. And I do sit on this road occasionally. I'll sit at the school, and I'll sit down here. I'm giving away my spot, so don't tell anybody. And I'll sit down here and I'll sit there because people fly through here. So I hear your concerns, and like my sergeant said, I work 4 days, and for those 4 days, I can tell you I'm out here all the time. So if you see me, come say hi. I'm driving an SUV. But yeah, we realize it, all those stunts, we're trying really hard, my partner and I, and like you said, 3 hours per brief. It does take time, so it's just one car at a time. It's also, it's a 14-day impoundment of the car and 30-day license suspension.
I got that backwards.
Yeah, it's all good.
I sit at the desk, sorry.
But yeah, we're working hard. We see the areas, we're going out to those complaint zones. We appreciate you guys giving us your driveways to use. Nothing against some of the driveways, it just doesn't work with the machines and the instruments we use. We don't want to get our cruiser hit for one, but we need a certain angle to see as well, so it's the safety of us and for the safety of pulling that vehicle over. But we appreciate all the opportunities to use your driveways and all the spots that you guys are saying are safety risk. We're going out there and we're looking. So if you don't see us out there a lot, we're trying. There's just a lot of places to go, but we do hear you.
Thank you. You gave me time to gather my thoughts. Okay, so the next question we get is, how do we know where to go for our enforcement? So we work off of your complaints. We will go out in your complaint area, and we will, one of my officers will either say, yes, this is legitimate, or no, this is perceived. Another way that we do it is we work closely with Heidi at the town, and Heidi will put those signs that you'll see, you're going 70 kilometers an hour, you're going too fast. She puts those signs up. Well, those signs take the data of every driver that drives by. So I haven't got a big team, right? So what I have to do is go off the analytics that we get of when I assign my officers and where I assign my officers to go. So a lot of times Heidi will say, okay, let's use Campbellville Road, for instance. Campbellville Road between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. is a problem, where 85% of the people are going over the speed limit by 15 kilometers an hour. And I take that data, and that's when I assign my officers, and you can imagine, because I haven't got many officers, I need that data to know when to send my officers out there, so that they're out there at the best times to do the enforcement. Does everybody understand that? Yeah, exactly. So on our heat map, and I wish I had it for you guys to see, I'll have it for the next one. It shows that we do most of our time on Guelph Line, Campbellville Road, up here in Brookville, and First Line out by Arkell Road. So we've identified those areas as danger spots. We also, along Guelph Line 25 side road, now there's lights in there, so that's not so much of an issue anymore, but up towards 32nd side road, it still is. So my officers do a lot of time around here. They go to Millbrook Town Line, right up into Campbellville, and my heat map shows actually where all the tickets are laid and where we spend most of our time. So know that we're out here. Now, why you don't see police officers? None of my officers work in marked cruisers. So you do not see my officers in marked cruisers. Laura, for instance, she operates a Ford SUV, and how you know it's her is she has the cameras on top. It's called her ALPR system. So every car that goes by her car reads license plates and gives her, this person is a suspended drive, or this person is good to go, and her car is constantly giving her information. I don't know how she does it, right? Can you imagine our computer system's going off, this camera system's going off, right? And radio is going off. I've driven with her in that car, and I don't know how she does it. And the traffic coordinator from Halton Hills actually wanted to ride along with Laura just to take in all the information that Laura gets in 15 minutes. So Laura spends most of her time out here with her partner. They do a great job for me. I'm proud of what they do out here. I'm sorry if you feel that we aren't out here, but know that we are, and we are trying to address your concerns. And as Laura said, we've identified we are not catching local residents. The people that we stopped are not you. That's why none of you know us, right? When we go to areas areas in Georgetown, when we go to other complaint areas, the people that we pull over are normally the residents. And I always am that advocate, not in my neighborhood. So they won't speed in their neighborhood, but as soon as they get out of their neighborhood, away they go, right? Out here, we are getting all commuter traffic. And we're trying to find a solution to how we make them responsible for what they're doing. Right? Like we don't have our foot on the gas pedal. It's that person that does. So how do we make them accountable? And we have to figure out new, outside of the box ways to address this. Because what we're doing right now, it's not working. We're giving out ticket after ticket. We can give out tickets till we're blue in the face. But as long as the people from outside the region and outside of your area are using this as a shortcut, we need to think of different ways to address the system, okay? The same as what we are with the stoplights down in Campbellville. Please know, I know that if we put an officer on those four corners, we can keep traffic moving. But do you know how much it costs for us to put an officer on those four corners when the 401 shuts down? So we're trying to think outside of the box, and we're trying to find new solutions. And we work with our community partners who we have here, and we're trying to find ways to make your life better, because I can't imagine living on Campbellville Road and I have to go somewhere and the line of traffic won't even let me get on the road. We care. We know. Like I say, I grew up out here. I know. I understand. Please know that we are trying to find solutions. So we're here if you have any questions right now. Yes, ma'am.
Motorcycles.
Motorcycles.
You know, talk about motorcycles, which are not commuters, they're weekend people.
Right. So you know your town has developed businesses catering to motorcycles. So is it the noise that you're talking about, or the volume?
Well, noise is bad, but also we're near 15th Side Road, and there's bad hills you get with intersections you can't see, and I'm just afraid one's going to come flying over the hill and get creamed by a car.
Right.
Right.
So
I've also heard they fall off the road and die because they don't make the turns.
well, up here, we've only had one fatality. Like in our district, we had one fatality, and that was a motorcycle. But it was actually the car and not the motorcycle that was at fault. Okay? I am guilty of riding a Harley in my life, and I am guilty of saying that these are some of the best motorcycle roads in Ontario, by far. I understand though that now we're getting the rice rockets on 15 Side Road. I've seen it myself, and they are trying to catch air and zooming around those corners at max speed, and our officers are aware of it and onto it, okay? And then as far as the noise is concerned, because I know the people in Campbellville, Buddy walks in with his V-twin, right? His pipes aren't legal, but he's got the V-twin engine with the aftermarket pipes, and he's scaring cattle, they're scaring horses, okay? We have an issue right now with the noise coming out of cars and motorcycles. And the town of Milton and I have come together, and we are now petitioning the province to lower the sound decibels on manufactured cars and motorcycles. Okay? Because my issue now is they're making these cars with a button inside of them that automatically puts the car into straight pipe mode, takes away the baffles, adds 15 horsepower to the car, and it sounds like it's a race car. All right? Corvettes, Mustangs. Mustangs have resonated muffler systems. They have stereos inside their muffler systems to make it sound so cool. Right? And now, there's a company that's making the muffler systems for Teslas, which is basically stereo systems attached to Teslas to make it sound like a car engine, and they sound like race cars. So what we're trying to do is to go after the manufacturers, right? Like, if you can buy a car off the lot with these pipes, then the government is saying that it's legal. It's saying that that button to turn your car, like a Corvette, into a race car is legal. So we have to address it at the manufacturer level. To do that, we need to go to the province and the federal government. So thank you for the town of Milton for doing that. and I hope that is an outside the box. It's not gonna be tomorrow, but it's a resolution that's not too far in the future if they listen, right? And we happen to know a few people in the government level too, so we're working on that. Thank you for the question, though.
There's a question here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Counselor, you're asking me a question? You can ask me a question anytime. Go
well,
ahead.
there's other questions, but about speed enforcement cameras, because we've been discussing this at the town around council. We have a few speed enforcement cameras as kind of a pilot project, and we want to try them out in some other areas. One of them I would like to see is outside Brookville School. But from your perspective, from an enforcement perspective, are they effective? Do they make your job easier?
Absolutely. And I wish we could have hundreds of them. And why I say that is, once again, we're limited in our numbers. You know, the restraints they put on it has to be in a community safety zone and right? So there's restraints on these cameras. So don't think of them as the fix-all, do-all at this time.
They're also very expensive.
And they're very expensive. So understand that every picture that is taken of a car speeding, there has to be a provincial offenses officer on the other end of that swears to and signs that ticket before they mail it. So not only are you paying for the camera, you're paying for the processing center. So Toronto has actually developed their own processing center with sworn-in peace officers to swear and attest to those tickets. So you can imagine the money on the backside after that picture is taken, okay? So our chief has come out publicly and said he's in favor of them. The issues that we have in front of schools now have never been there before. It seems like no kids walk to school anymore. And parents drive their kids to every school. And I'm not talking out here, I'm talking Milton, Georgetown, Oakville, and there's hundreds of cars going into school zones every morning and afternoon, and the chaos that creates, and the double parking, and then the sidewalks are scary for the kids to walk on who do walk to the school, right? So I'm fully in favor of those cameras, and I wish we could have more tomorrow. But I know that the cost is very, like, these are not a give back your money project. It's a loser. We cannot give out enough tickets. That's how expensive these are. They cannot give out enough tickets to make the money back to pay for those cameras.
But they certainly slow the drivers down.
I'm sorry?
They certainly slow the drivers down.
I would hope so.
My daughter
I would hope so.
And there's one outside of school.
Toronto and Peel are finding there is an effect with them, but it's minimal. Like, they're still giving out thousands of tickets a week, right? Some people just don't care. So I would hope, and that is my hope, like, we can't be everywhere at once. These cameras would definitely help us, like red light cameras. They would definitely help us in the situation and make our job. Imagine if we could just go out and do speed enforcement out here, and we didn't have to go to those school zones. Like, our troops go to a different school every morning just to calm the chaos. And so Milton is so built up with all their schools that we can't be everywhere at once. So they pick a different school every morning to go out to and sit at. And then we work as a team, and I never mentioned that either. So when I started with the team, we had 4 teams of 2 officers that would follow platoons. What I didn't like about it is if a platoon was short, they would absorb my officers into their platoons, and my officers would therefore be taken off of traffic duty and put on responding to emergency calls, okay? Another thing that happened is if one of those officers took their vacation, which they're entitled to, I'd only have 1 officer on the team, and you can imagine trying to do radar on Campbellville Road, Steeles, any road out here with 1 officer, all right? Officer safety is weak, especially when you're out here. So what I did is I took the team and I combined them into 2 teams of 4. And why I did that is, number one, we can still cover our responsibilities with platoons where we can go out to these schools and work them, but also we're much more effective as a team doing radar as a team. And that's why I say Laura comes out here with her partner. They work together very cohesively. They have the officer safety aspect where they're close to each other and they're out there, like one can work the radar, the other one's pulling the cars over that the radar's picking up. Okay? Speed traps, people call them. I don't believe it's a trap. I believe you shouldn't be speeding and then you wouldn't be trapped. But I find that we're far more effective. And the whole point of that was just to lower the accidents, to let's get everybody slowing down. A team is more effective at a four-way stop where people are running red lights. A team is much more effective on a multi-lane highway for speed enforcement. And a team, these guys are really tight, I'm very proud of them. A team can work whatever projects that I give them, and they work very well. My team is very qualified. For instance, Laura, she's a breathalyzer technician, so she can work on the impaireds. She's also a drug recognition expert, where Laura has gone through an extensive course, gone down to the United States and passed all the required tests, and now she can do impaired by drug enforcement as well. She's a C8 operator, which is our assault rifle. She's a shotgun operator, and she's about to, what are you about to do?
Actually, a speed instructor
yeah,
course with
yeah.
LiDARs and radars.
She's about to become an instructor where she can teach our younger officers on radar, LiDAR, and mobile radar. So I try to get my team as qualified as they can. Yes, sir.
Sorry. What's the cost of this equipment? I realize there's a whole structure that goes with it, but what's the core cost of the equipment itself?
Of the equipment that we use?
Yeah.
Okay, so I do that. I do the budgeting for that. So we are now have our mobile radar in the cars that runs at about $7,000 a unit. Our LiDARs, which you use most of the time, right? So our laser radar, is about $9,000 to $12,000 a unit. And then our handheld radars are about $2,000 a unit. Is there any other equipment you're talking about?
No, that's just, yeah, obviously you have to compound it with the officers you're getting. I'm not gonna go there, I'm just curious.
Yeah, so our LiDARs, which we now have long-range radars, or LiDARs, they're probably our most expensive piece of equipment that we have. They're the most accurate piece of equipment that we have. And our officers, especially on our team, that's the main source of equipment that they use. Yeah. Our truck enforcement equipment, that's a different matter. We've got scales and everything else that goes with that. I would say in total, for that one officer, the amount of equipment that he drives around is probably $30,000 with the scales and everything.
You work with NTO for that?
He is qualified through the MTO, yes sir. And then you all know we do the Mohawk Blitz each year. That is MTO, us, and every other police service around here.
Yeah, we have that out, that's where you get all the trucks on all the other roads.
Yeah, well, that was, this year was like super successful. Usually in the past, as I say, this is my third year doing it, our first day, successful. But then they all get on the radios and you never see a truck in here our second day. This year was crazy, and it's because of these parking lots and everything, and we were busy. Our lanes were jammed every day, both days, and our numbers were substantial. Over 200 PONs, and over 70% were taken out of service. So, yeah, our numbers were substantial. So it makes you worry about what's driving around here. My initial plan was I wanted 2 inspectors by the end of this year on our team up here. Unfortunately, one of our guys just left and went to Hamilton Police Service. So that was a wasted course. So we still have the one here, and then next year in the spring, I'd like to send her on the inspector course. Laura loves traffic, and she wants. She has said to me multiple times that she wants to focus her career around traffic. So part of my job is to help her get that, and she wants the inspector course. So if I have an opportunity to send her on that inspector course, it's quite a course. It's a 7-week course, and then they have to inspect, I think it's close to 50 trucks before they get the qualification. And then to keep the qualification, they have to inspect 50 trucks a year. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Could I ask a question regarding cyclists? Is it allowable or legal for a block of 12
No.
or 13?
I know where you're going, that drives me crazy as well. So, as I just
That's
said,
so dangerous.
yes, so as I just said, I got into cycling. And I ride out here alone. But I see those groups, the packs that you're talking about. No, they're to ride single file, especially on the roads that you have out here. And if they do go into groups, we've pulled over a number of groups. We'll put them on our camera, because you know all of our cars have the in-car camera system. So we'll put them on our camera, and then we'll stop them. And you wouldn't believe how hostile they are. So, yeah, it's become an issue to the point where we are actually, there is community bicycle groups, and we're actually working on putting officers in those groups, more for an educational standpoint, okay? I won't tell you the people that we pulled over, but there's some pretty influential people that ride bicycles, and it's crazy the talkback that we get for trying to keep them safe.
So even two abreast is illegal?
That's illegal. Unless, you know, you've got, like, what I really enjoy is Campbellville Road here has that, so it's not a bike lane, but it's a safe space where the cars are there, there's a white line, and I've got about 1.5 to 2 feet going right up towards Millborough that I can boodle on Campbellville Road. If they're side by side in there, I got no problem. But it's when you're on that 2-lane road and they create anger, right? They do. You get behind them, you're angry, trying to check my words. So you get angry, and then what happens is you're going to accelerate and gun it and put them in danger, right? Because you're angry. Never mind the people behind you now that they're waiting as well. So it creates that road rage. So no, it's not legal. Yes, you can call it in. The problem is identifying it. Like, unless you're going to follow them, because they're doing 30 kilometers an hour, and unless you're going to follow them, how are we going to find them, right? So I know when our officers come up on those groups, they make the point of stopping them. There has been some enforcement and education with that.
When did the rule change that you can't ride two abreast?
There is no rule that says you can ride two abreast.
I'm a cyclist and I'm a member of a club, and we were told it is legal
By who?
by a police officer.
In the Highway Traffic Act, it's you ride safely as far to the right-hand side of the road as you can.
Right. But I also was told that you can ride two abreast.
Doesn't say that in the Highway Traffic. And I will say, I've told you how many miles I've done out here, or kilometers that I've done out here. I have never felt in danger riding my bike out here. And I have you to thank for that. Like, I'll usually go right up First Line, up through Guelph, in through Rockwood, a little north of Rockwood, and then back down Second Line, which is freshly paved and beautiful for a bicycle, by the way. I have never felt in danger riding in your area. I can't say the same for other areas like Halton Hills. Like, where I grew up around Acton, there's no way I put a bike on that ground, right? And you need to understand that's our area of responsibility as well. Yes, sir.
I have a problem with dirt bikes flying on up and down our road. They're not licensed. Are they allowed to be on the road?
No, because probably they're not insured as well.
Yeah, they're not.
Right. And we're having that issue, especially since COVID. We're having that issue in every community out here. We've tried education. We've tried actually having the community tell us who is on these bikes, because most of the people, it's their next door neighbor, right? So we gave them a line where they could just call us without their names, pack drills, and we would go to that house and speak to the parents, speak to the kids. And you need to understand the law states that we can't chase these guys. So as soon as the kid sees us coming, they're off the road and away they go, right? Cutting through parks, like community parks, like just to get away from us, they'll do whatever they can. So that's why we started this. You know, if you're a neighbor going, let us know. and we can go in and at least try to educate.
I even had 2 go-karts. I just came over the knoll, and there was 2 kids on the go-karts. Go-karts, and almost ran over.
Yeah.
And that was the scariest part of my life. I was just 2 kids.
When I was up here as a NASA officer, there was a guy up on 25 side road with a dragster. You guys say more. Right? He didn't know I was sitting at 25 side road, Guelph line, and suddenly I hear this noise, and this thing flew by me at about 200 miles an hour. Yeah. We're working on it, and if we see it, we do try to stop it. But we can't chase these guys, right? Like, we know they have no insurance. We know their parents bought it for them during COVID, and the world is their playground. So we're hoping that they don't hurt somebody else. If you get the inside message. Yes, sir.
Just wondering, we're in Campbellville East, we're Tom, we're from the Four Pointers, past the old ballpark, so I'm just wondering, what's being done with some of the issues, and sometimes it's really a big issue as far as our safety in the community as far as heavy trucks. It's fairly rampant. Of course, sometimes it's when the 401 is what it is, but the 401 is a different type of designation of highway. We're in a clean safety zone, it goes on and on. And of course, there are some no heavy truck signs, but they don't seem to be working very well at all. The park across from us is the old ballpark.
I'm sorry, that last part?
I'm saying we're across from the old ballpark, so of course there's no lines in the road or anything for children. Right in behind Wendy Jane, Jesse, that development, or the development behind the old ballpark. So the heavy truck issue in town has become a big deal. And of course, the speed is beyond heavy traffic. There's a lot of things. That's a separate thing, but I'm saying, as far as the heavy trucks are concerned, what are you doing to prevent or deter that?
Do you want to answer that? Or do you want me?
So my partner and I are out there all the time, like we said before, and we've done a whole week, especially in Campbellville. We'll tag every dump truck, unless they're on a local delivery or they're in that area for construction.
You gotta use words like not tag. We
Oh.
enforce.
Enforce, sorry, my bad. We enforce with the ticket, and we'll do that all week. And then we'll go back the next week. Nothing's around, there's no trucks. So, and then it's like a Band-Aid. And we'll leave, because we're in other spots, we'll take on another area for speed, etc. And then we'll come back and all these trucks are back. So we're out there, we're trying, but like my sergeant said, we can't be there 24/7. I wish I could, because there's a lot of trucks that use that road. But once we put the Band-Aid on, no one comes around for 2 or 3 days, we gotta go somewhere else, because we gotta use our resources somewhere else and try to impact somewhere else. And then we'll come back. And I can say this because last week, my partner and I were out there, and actually the CDSA officer, he was inspecting a truck. I was riding with him. I got out of my SUV and started pointing trucks over. So while he's doing his stuff in my SUV, I was doing my stuff in my SUV too. So we're both working and pointing cars over and trucks and pointing them back, making them turn around. So we are trying, but it's a Band-Aid effect. You're out there for 2 weeks, nothing happens, they're all gone, and then they're back again. It's just this, we're chasing our tail to a certain extent, and all of them, when we issue a ticket, it does go on that company's CVOIR. So basically it goes to their insurance company, and then they get reviewed by the ministry. So the ministry does review their driver's abstract, they review the trucking company, etc. So all those tickets that are issued, they get put on their number, which the drivers do not like. No one likes demerit points either. And those are on those tickets as well. Disobey signs, $110, 2 demerit points, and it goes on that company's CVOR. So it's a lot of impact for that one ticket. But again, we'll be out there, we'll be doing our best. We'll go away, and then they'll come right back. Like Mohawk, they were gone the next day. And then next week, there they are again. We're trying our hardest with it.
I can understand that you guys are working, but when I hear about your deploying issue, or they'll pull away from you in the primary response, which is routine, or you're not holiday sick, whatever it is. I guess I have to ask, how big an area are you trying to cover with two teams of four?
How big of an area do we cover, sir?
Well, if you've got 4 officers, which maybe you only have 3, let's say, in any one shift,
Yeah, at any given time.
and then how big an area are we talking about as far as your traffic? And what area do you cover?
Our district covers Georgetown, Acton, Campbellville, no.
So you're saying that there's at most 4 officers that would be assigned to traffic for that size of an area?
Traffic officers and uniform officers.
So it's virtually impossible.
That's why we work with analytics, and that's what I said.
It's virtually impossible to have any impact. If you go into Toronto, you'll have divisions, and any one evening will have maybe 4 officers out at least. And that's in a small area that would be dedicated strictly to traffic, the size of downtown, for the building,
So you need to understand our uniform officers also do traffic when they are not responding to calls. So we rely on them as well. But yes, our team, and that's why I rely on analytics, and that's what I said to you, I have limited resources. And we work off of analytics so we know when and where to be in those areas. So that's why I wanted a truck inspector, and I actually want in the future a truck inspection team so that we can go to these quarries, we can go to these areas and actually let's pull them over, let's inspect them, and let's make sure what's on our roads are safe. Now I think you're going to find that with the trucking issue, we have joined up with our partners and we're trying to find solutions to why are they using these roads, how can we stop them from using these roads, how can we make sure that what they're doing is safe and that they're actually obeying the speed limits. So don't think that we're negligent to what you're saying. We're fully aware, and that's what Laura's trying to say, is we're trying to put an end to it, but what's happening right now is it's only temporary. So we're trying to find different solutions. Like, we understand, we do care, and we're trying to find different solutions to how can we solve these issues with the resources that we have. Now, I learned very early in the burn that police can't do this alone. And I think you all can agree on that. We can't do it alone. So I formed partnerships with Heidi, with the town of Halton Hills, with our councillors that are sitting in front of you. We've all joined together and we are trying to find the solutions to these issues that you have. You know, I know there's a gentleman here that's going to be talking about truck parking lots, how we're going to just start working on that. We are using our community resources and our community partners to try to find the solutions. Yes.
So, just in the interest of time,
Yeah,
one
thanks.
last.
Actually, I was going to say 2 things. One is, where do people go online to your site to report things? Just remind me where that is.
Yep.
And the second is, I really thank you for being here and look forward to having you at our next meeting.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So, if I will answer your question, ma'am, if you want to talk to me later.
Well, actually, this is what they're doing as well. On, say, an example, Arkell Road, but there's other roads throughout the city. And they've got metal poles.
Yep.
To slow down.
We use those.
I visit my daughter as well, at Paddle Beach Road, and you do slow down because you want to make sure you're going to turn in that metal post. And it doesn't involve an officer like your time, and it's effective. Is it not considered, say, in the village or in
We actually have, the town has bollards at their disposal and we actually do use them. We're running out of time. So you need to understand that Heidi, who is with the town of Milton, she does her traffic surveys, she does her analytics, and she will put bollards out where she feels they're needed. okay? So we do have them, and we do use them in Milton and Halton Hills. Yes, because they are effective. Like they cost a lot of money, so we're not going to use them if they're not effective. And we do have those. So that's a re-engineering issue, and I work with Heidi, and a lot of times I'll say, okay, this is a police issue, or no, Heidi, this is an engineering issue. Like, we need to solve this problem through environmental engineering, and that's where the bollards come into play.
And just where can we report?
Yep. So if you have a traffic concern, and believe me, I get over 200 from out here, you go onto the Halton Police website, and you will see a drop down for traffic concerns. You'll see it for one district. As soon as you do that, it's called a road watch or a 992, and you fill out your information. That goes through our headquarters, and then it comes to me. Once it comes to me, I assign it to our officers, and like I say, that's where we get our analytics from our complaints. Okay? Yes, sir.
Just a quick opinion from you, please. Are the flashing radar speed check signs effective? Recognizing you are so short-staffed for the district that you need to cover. I see them on the regional roads, but why are they not on municipal roads?
They are. So do I think they're effective? No, absolutely not. I think that kids nowadays just ignore them and plow through them. But they're giving me that analytics, right? They're giving me the analytics, the true speeds of what's happening on your roads. So they're effective that way for me, right? Like I've been driving down the road, I'm on a multi-lane highway, and I've seen guys passing me, and they don't give a crap what that thing says, right? But I'm thinking, now it's got you, it's got your number, it's got your speed, and those analytics are going to come to me. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Then a question to Heidi. Why don't we have them on our local roads?
Heidi's not here.
Yeah, Heidi's not here. And Heidi does put it,
I thought she was here.
yeah, Heidi does put them on our local roads.
I was told 3 years ago that Milton does not do that.
No, they do it.
I've only seen them on the regional roads, and I was going to suggest to Heidi that she needs to put forward a budget request for Milton residents. If you can't get out to cover this area, I think it's obscene what's happening.
Yeah, so I can attest that she does. I get a lot of analytics from those signs from out here, as well as from the region. Bob Wickland with the region is great for that. I'll ask him to put signs out where I see, for instance, Campbellville Road. If I start getting multiple complaints, Bob will put a regional sign out there. Yeah. But Heidi does it. She does. I get probably 3 or 4.
I'm talking permanently fixed units.
Oh, well, that's a lot of money. So, yeah, that would be...
Regardless, so is hiring staff, but I mean,
Yeah.
you can't be everywhere.
Right. No, exactly. Okay, thank you, folks. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate your efforts throughout our region to keep our roads safe. And I know as a farmer who's been on these roads in a tractor, you want a thrill ride, just try to do that with this traffic. It's scary as could be. So thank you very much. Now we're going to pass Sharon. She's going to put on a different hat. Quickly, I know, yeah, much like the police have a limited budget, we have a limited amount of time here.
And hadn't intended to have to speak tonight, but of course, things have changed slightly. And I'll just do a quick recap and we'll move on. So many of you remember way back in August 2018, Cindy organized a meeting because James Dick had filed an application under the Ag Resources Act to operate what we call the Campbellville quarry potentially. And something that was brought up to me by Harry Williams actually is this is not a sand and gravel that they're talking about, which is what was there before. This is a mine because it's blasting. And it's blasting, underwater blasting that's never been done in Ontario. So it's a very different animal, if you like. So we banded together as a community, and many of you have been supporters over time. And Doug Ford was here in July of 2020, and he said, and of course the mayor was there, if the people don't want it, and the mayor doesn't want it, it won't happen. Well, that promise hasn't been fulfilled yet. He's been fulfilling some promises lately, so I'm getting more optimistic. But in the interim, our MPP had asked for, and we were granted, an environmental assessment. Doesn't stop it, does slow it down, and hopefully it gives the minister a reason to stop it. So many of you got this letter in the mail, and we're just putting this on our website, actionmilton.ca. If you're not on our mailing list, please go to actionmilton.ca and you will get updates. There's a meeting on December the 6th where James Dick will present to us, we presume, the terms of reference, and we can see what the EA is actually going to look at. We don't know where that meeting is yet. We will certainly let you know, but if you go onto our website, you'll be able to link through and register, so you'll get direct mail from the Ministry of Environment as well. Okay, on that note, thank you.
Okay. I don't think there would be any questions to that. You can just go to the website, find out as much information, and Sharon, or I know Debbie probably would be happy to talk to you about if you have any other questions about it. And next, we're going to be having Jennifer's going to come up for the, now, I just wanted to point something out. I don't just wear bling just because I'm fancy, but this past year I had the honor of being named the honorary mayor of Campbellville, and we have a new honorary mayor coming, and I'm not going to say, but it's an awesome choice. That's all I want to say. So this is why this was probably the last time I get to wear this in public. So that's why I'm doing it. But Jennifer, she is. I saw her. Yes.
Hi everybody, I'm Jennifer Sibbett. I'm the president of the Campbellville Community Association. I hate public speaking, so I'll probably talk really quickly, and I'm sorry for that. So come see me afterwards, because this is really awkward for me. Okay. Anyway. So yeah, Campbellville Community Association, we're finally getting back to the momentum we had pre-COVID. As you can imagine, COVID just decimated all the stuff we were doing. We actually went down to 2 members over COVID, which was my husband and I, and I'm happy to announce that we're getting up to, I think we're mid-70s now. But I think we used to, I mean, I saw Ruth, I think. We were close to 200, 250 members at some point. So we'd really love for you to get back in, join, please. The more membership we have, the more clout we have with the town. We can apply for grants, we can bring more things to the community, so it's well worth it. Things that we've been busy with, as John mentioned, we've been busy with our all candidates meetings. We did federal, provincial, municipal, and we got a lot of really good feedback about it. We were one of the most popular, I'd like to say, all candidate meetings. We had a lot of turnout, which was really important to the candidates. I remember the municipal one because you got a voice, right? You got to actually ask good questions, and they heard you. Some of the social things we've been doing, we've done outdoor movie nights in Brookville Park. The last one we also included an ice cream social, which was really great. So it's nice to have people come out just for fun and again, meet a lot of new neighbors. We've had a lot of turnover, we can see from our Facebook group. There's a lot of new people joining the community and being part of it, so it's nice to kind of meet some new people. We have our continued partnership with the NCCC doing the roadside cleanup. Amazing the stuff we find in the ditches every year, just incredible. I think we should have a contest for that actually this year, like the weirdest thing you find in your ditch, but impressive stuff. We're coming up upon the holiday season, so we do a lot of stuff surrounding that. So we have our tree lighting coming up on Friday, November 24th. It's hot chocolate timbit singing carols as we light the tree, which is the first job of our new honorary mayor, which I'll get to. And the other thing our honorary mayor gets to do is be in our 49th annual Santa Claus Christmas Parade, which is on Sunday, December 17th down Main Street in Campbellville. So yeah, I put it on Facebook today, and I haven't sent an email yet, but we're really excited to announce that Lori Wardell has been selected as our honorary mayor for this coming year. Stand up and wave at us, Lori. You all know Lori, if you've ever been to the post office, she's amazing, and then she does tons of things behind the scenes. So yeah, first job will be turning those lights on at the park, so it's very serious business. You can give her some tips. The other exciting thing that we're doing this year, we have a new event. We're going to be hosting a Winter Wonderland vendor market at Mohawk Racetrack. So it's starting at 3 o'clock on December 2nd. This is a Saturday. We're going to have some free family events, so like face painting, cookie decorating, games for the kids, magician, all that kind of stuff. And then so far we have about 25 vendors signed up to sell their wares. So we do everything from crafts, there's people from the Fine Arts Society of Milton, FASM, so lots of local crafters. My kids have started painting stuff to sell. It'll be great, so it'll be a lot of fun. So come on out for that. And next year, about the parade, we're coming up on our 50th. So we're really excited and trying to think of some good ideas, always looking for help. And it doesn't mean you have to join a committee and come out every month. Sometimes it's just having a pickup truck and picking up those barriers at the end of the parade, or helping put out chairs before an event, something like that. So if there's any way you can help, you can spare an hour, we could absolutely use the help, and we'd really love for you to come out. The other big thing we did, super big thing, is, and I saw Liz, she's here too. Liz was our chair of the RCMP musical ride. That was just, it blew me away how many people came out. We had about 3,400 people each night come out. And that raised $35,000 for the Community Association. So thank you, Liz, because I know it was a lot of hours we put into it, but we pulled it off, and it was just absolutely amazing. I'd also like to thank Woodbine Mohawk Park, because they helped host it, host the horses, all that stuff. Couldn't have done it without them. And then, since I have your attention, I'm just going to say Storage Solutions was a platinum partner, along with the Town of Milton. Thank you, Town of Milton, for helping us pull it together. Our gold partners, Tourism Ontario, the Slime Lab, Active Results Collaboration, our silver partner, Geomorphics, which is in downtown Campbellville, and our community partners, Sovereign Fusion, KMJ Industrial, Moffat, Scrap Iron, Rick Imus Music Studio, Costello's, International Meats, and Teague & Monaco Photography. And then, of course, our ticket sellers, Costello's, Keaton Co., Green Hawk, and the gallery upstairs. Every single one of these companies helped us in some way make it possible, so I'm very grateful for that. We are so lucky to live in a community that works together. We can contact any businesses, we send out an email, and people send us money to help bring these events to you, and without that, we wouldn't be able to pull it off. So I'm so grateful to all of our local businesses. And that didn't even count when people put up posters, like that counts too as something that's really exciting. So a couple other things. Okay, almost there, good, I'm done yet. So now we have to figure out what to do with that $35,000, and this is where I need your ideas to come to us. Become a member, have a voice, vote on what we can do with it. Last year we got a bench for the hospital. We started a scholarship fund for a youth, which would be awesome to bring back again. We did the banners down Main Street, which could definitely use a refresh, maybe something like what we did in Lowville, or what they did in Lowville. Anyway, we can do anything. I had a couple of people reach out, they want to do a baseball tournament. Great. We have insurance, we have money, you run it. That kind of thing. So if you have ideas, something you can bring to the community, please share it.
Speed radar.
Yeah. You know what I think? We should get broken ones that just flash when people drive by. I think that would be the cheapest. And then finally, coming up in the spring, we're going to have our membership drive, AGM, volunteer appreciation. I think that it's only $15 for the year, and like I said, we can do a lot of good in the community as a togetherness. So, yeah, if you have any questions, that's my table over there. Some cool, awesome pictures from prior events. I'm here till past the end, so if you have any questions, if you want to sign up to be a member, Campbellville.net. That's where you can find more information. Thank you, sorry.
Thank you, Jennifer, for all that work. And that was speed talking.
I know, I'm sorry.
I think one day you're going to be one of the politicians up here when I do an all candidates meeting. And you'll just be, well, you're timing me, I have to get it all in. So, anyway, so yes, for sure, if you're not a member, $15, come on, $15. You probably find that in your couch cushions just to do. And it does such great work for our community. And we have some great volunteers, Jennifer, Liz, and all the rest. They do such a good thing, and that was an awesome event. The musical ride, to bring that put us on the map. That's for sure. Again. So, anyways, were there any questions for Jennifer? Probably not.
Oh yeah.
Any questions?
Excellent. All right. Campbellville.net.
Campbellville.net. And now next we're going to have a follow-up to the meeting from August the 23rd to do mostly with the truck parking, etc. So Lisa, you are up.
I don't know if everybody here knows me. If you were at the meeting August 23rd, you would have been introduced, but I've been 6 years
some traffic for you right in front of my house every day. I'm one of those people who can't get out of my driveway because the 401's got something going on every week. I also have an illegal truck lot right next to me, right up against my property line, illegal dumping, and that's where this started. So we've been liaising with town officials, with the NEC, myself and my late neighbor Doriana, who couldn't make it today, for a year now, about what's been going on that property, which is now a truck lot of about 15 to 20 commercial vehicles on NEC protected land. So we called a meeting back in August just because we wanted to have a face-to-face, discuss our concerns. We're shocked to see 90 people show up. And since then, we've reached about 150 residents who reached out to me to add me to the communication list and mailing list because we've touched a nerve. This is an issue, and it's not just our issue. This has come up in Caledon, in Toronto, in Halton Hills. Illegal land use, illegal trucking lots are a symptom of a bigger issue that we can't solve here today and requires policy and program change at the provincial and municipal levels. But what we want to try to solve in the short term is the impact this is potentially having on our water, on our land, on our peace of mind, in this beautiful community that we live in. So we did some work ahead of this meeting because we didn't want to spend this meeting like we did last time, which was a really useful meeting, but we didn't want to spend it going around the room with concerns. We wanted to spend it hearing from the town officials who went away with some homework and have been meeting with other groups and discussing things. We also met separately, a small group of us, pulled together what many of you may have received here is a list of properties. That was our homework going away is, what properties are we talking about? In no way, shape, or form is this a witch hunt or even a validated list. I think these are just concerns from the community. We pulled it together as a starting point for a discussion with the town about what properties have already been reported, what's being done, what's not being done, where we're concerned. The town of Caledon has actually done a lot of heavy lifting already on this issue, and there's someone here from Caledon, John DeCourcy, who's the acting Caledon Director of Bylaw Enforcement. Is that right, John?
That's correct.
So I'm just going to introduce you. If you want to introduce yourself.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council, community. So I'm John DeCourcy. I'm the former director for the town of Caledon. I just resigned on Friday. Kindly enough. But I joined the Caledon team about 3 years ago, and the priority they had from council was to go after these illegal truck yards, the illegal land use. I see from your map here, you guys have 25. In Caledon, we have over 260. They range in size from 5 trucks to 200 trucks.
But that's not all of Milton, that's just a little neighborhood over here.
Oh, all right. Well, you know what? You can still get at this, and there's opportunity here. So we had to think outside the box, because traditionally the bylaw officers were going out and they were issuing tickets. The sergeant mentioned Part 3 tickets. And again, with zoning, it's very complicated, because if you're going to issue a zoning violation as a Part 3 ticket, which has to go through the court process, you can't lay another charge until that's been dealt with. So with COVID and some creative defense lawyers, they were able to prolong the court dates. These trucks, these property owners make $500 a month per truck on their property. So some of these properties were making $10,000 a month, and over the course of the years, right? So the fines were insignificant. When we started off, when I first got there, the fines that were being issued were $1,000. So, which was, again, it just got the case out of court, and it was resolved, and away we go, and we go back to the same property again, and the process would start again. So I talked to the lawyers, and the POA allows for us to issue a $50,000 fine after the court process. So we started to push that. And one of the things I found helpful was taking the lawyers that prosecute these cases out into the field, because all they see is a brief and a picture of what a truck yard is. They didn't get to feel the real impact and size that these properties had on members of the community, the surrounding properties. And so they were able to stand up in court and represent these properties with a little more zeal and passion. And this kind of followed through to the justice of the peace that would be listening to these cases. So the fine started to escalate. So right now, part 3 charge, if we want a guilty plea, it's $30,000. If it goes to court, it's $50,000. If we delay the charge again, it's we can go up to, I think it's $1,000 a day, and it'll go on for years in court. So I think the latest lawyer that we have is going to go for a $500,000 fine on the second go around. So you really have to become aggressive. So, and again, being a former police officer, I had the great opportunity to work with a number of agencies. The CBSA being one, the CRA being another, and another partnership we developed was MPAC. So if these properties if they're being taxed as farmland or agricultural properties, but they're operating as a truck yard, well, they should be taxed as a truck yard. Before we went off on that venture, I talked to a lawyer to ensure that we weren't legitimizing these properties. If we're going to start taxing them this way, it doesn't make them that, right? So no, you can tax them as commercial, as whatever your tax bases are, but it's no longer farmland. That had a significant impact on the taxes that they were paying. And in fact, when they go to plead guilty, it's one of the things they try to negotiate right away, to drop the taxes back down. So there's all these little tools. So we created a task force. There was 2 officers and a lawyer assigned to this task force. We tried to get a planner in, because planning is a very, very big piece to this. Again, trucks, we need the trucks, they need to go somewhere. We need to find out where they can go. We don't want them just kind of finding out where they can go and making it themselves. So if we be responsible enough to find out, this is probably the best place for it. Here's the transit system, and it's away from communities, it's away from farmland. So planning has a big piece of this. So we haven't been able to do that in Caledon yet. But with the 2 officers and a dedicated lawyer, we were able to see some significant pushes. MPAC got on board. We notified them of every property that has redeveloped into a truck yard. CBSA, again, being a former police officer, when I went on to some of these properties and I saw car ramps in a truck yard, it didn't make sense. So I notified the OPP, who we have a great relationship with in Caledon, brought it to their attention, and they recovered stolen vehicles from the trailers that were parked on the properties. So this is one of the things I told the officers too. When you go onto a property, the investigation starts from the roadway in. Has the driveway been widened? If it's been widened, get it to go back to the lawful width. Is there a fence? Is there barbed wire? So these are all little pieces of the bylaw, and again, just little pieces. You pile them up, it does have an impact. So property standards, is there garbage around the property? Fences, is there barbed wire on it? Is the driveway been widened? And just in the fill, they bring fill in, it's contaminated fill. So what we've done in some cases is we've notified them that you brought fill on, get it off. We always give people the opportunity to bring their properties back into compliance on their own. We'll give them time. If they're working toward it, we'll continue to work with them as they continue to progress. If they don't, we'll go in and do it. We have contractors. We'll go in and remove the contaminated soil and place it on their taxes. So all these little pieces do have an impact on it. We injunctions, big piece. The first go around, we had 3 properties, a couple 100 trucks on each of them. We just came through the injunction process. Again, there's no defense to this. So they do try to prolong it. Again, they drag it out because they're continuing to make a lot of money. But the injunctions were successful. The court found in our favor. The trucks are supposed to be removed. On the 3 properties, 1 has been totally removed, and the fill that they brought in has been removed. The other 2 are starting to push back a bit. They're end of October. They're supposed to have all their trucks and stuff up. So we're watching the progress. If they don't get them off in time, they've now violated a court order, and we had $1 million fine on one property that violated a court order. So you just have to kind of keep on top of these. Look for every little nook and cranny that you could to use for enforcement purposes. In partnership with the OPP, again, stolen vehicles on these properties. CBSA, the two properties there, again, former police officer with a drug enforcement background. We've got the drug squads and the CBSA looking into a couple of these properties because we know the transport business does move narcotics back and forth. So again, all these little pieces do add up. We are starting to close them down. I think you're in a good spot here. I mean, if you can get out on ahead of this now, if you've only got 25 in this area here, I think you start to bring in these pieces, you should have some impact.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's the crux of it, is we have an opportunity to be ahead of the game and not get to the point where Campbellville got to and other places have. So, and I know you guys are working and you're talking to people, and so I'm gonna turn it over to you because I want an update from you guys about what's going on, what can be done, what can we do in the community with you, because we're committed to this. This is our land, this is our water, you know, and I can see what's going on with the truck lot beside me from my porch and hear the dump truck back ends dropping every hour or so. It's not fun. It's not fun. So I don't know who wants to speak next, because I know you guys have updates.
John had just mentioned there, he won't mention the age before beauty thing. But John, I remember your opening remarks earlier on this evening there, this is not a candidates meeting. And thank God for that. But just for everybody's information, and Colin and I were commenting on it, it's exactly 1 year ago today when the election was. So after 1 year, you still get stuck with Christina, Colin, and I. So I'm not sure whether that's good or bad. But on the issue, I think first of all, I'm going to go to the police officers and their presentation there, and it was just excellent as far as I was concerned. I get the calls from some of you, how come, and excuse some of the language, how come you guys aren't doing a damn thing with traffic? Well, you heard the police officer, they are, you and I just don't see them. When I get some of those calls, I personally don't call the sergeant, but I work with two people in my office, and they call on behalf of Mayor Krantz. We've got an issue, and I can assure you that the police do respond. Now, I don't know how many of you may or may not have gotten a ticket in speeding, but I can assure you, I've never had a speeding ticket because I'm very cautious of that. But especially in the urban area, Colin knows exactly, so does Christine, what I talk about. And I'll just use Dorset Park as an example, the area of Wilson Avenue where there's schools in that particular area. Every once in a while I get calls and say, well, you gotta, get some more enforcement in there. Well, guess what? They do get out there and they do catch a few people as well. But guess who most of the people are? The people that live in that immediate area. And then I get the call from them, how come you're zeroing in on me? I said, well, it's that area where the problem is. But anyway, I just want to thank the police for that. So it's a little frustrating. Now, talk about frustrations. And Lisa, I know you and Doriano and the community are frustrated with that truck thing. And that's really what's brought us back together. Now, if you think you're frustrated, not only am I the mayor of the town of Milton, but I'm also a regional councillor, but I'm also an NEC commissioner. And I know there's been communications with you and others. And I'm no lawyer, I can assure you that, but I think like one. One of my colleagues, Christina here, is a lawyer. And we always have to be so careful, especially when things are in the court. Now, the bylaw, former bylaw officer from Caledon, he touched on it there. Upping if they're making, $10,000 a day, doesn't mean a thing to them on being fined $5,000. They're just part of doing business, and they'll tell you that. But up to $500,000 a week or a day or whatever, I don't know. You'd have to get the courts and the province to support that, for sure. I can assure you of that. But I think more particularly, some of the people that own those businesses, if they're to get 30 days in jail for that, I think that might change things. Now, will the province do that? With the justice system? So, talk about frustration. I'm frustrated with the justice system. Christine is probably a little closer to the justice system than I am, but I can tell you how we at the NEC right now are hamstrung. And I mean hamstrung. And I know, Lisa, you're well aware of that, and I can't get into it in any detail because it could drag on for another year. I hope not. It could drag on for another 2 years. I hope not. We all know about the James Dick, how long that's gone on. And again, I do recall I was there at the Bishop Reading School when they were out there, for an expansion, when this James Dick come up. And I remember very well, this recorded, and I got the recording too, where Premier had promised this community and me, if the mayor don't want it, the council don't want it, then you're not going to get it. So I haven't forgotten that either. And every once in a while, I know the Premier reasonably well, and I'll remind him of that every once in a while. But he's like me. He has, 120 or 30 MPs that he's got to work with. It's just the same as the three of us. There's 9 of us in total that really run the show. Not just me, not just Christina, not just Colin. And at the regional level, there's 24 of us. And in Colin's case and mine, we're 2 of 24. So that's democracy, as cumbersome as it is sometimes. And I've been involved with democracy for quite a few years. So I guess the frustration is that I predict sooner or later that probably later than sooner, and I hope I'm wrong, will resolve itself because of real heavy fines and or hopefully maybe even jail time. And that's what I'm really advocating. That one of the principals, spend 30 days in Maplehurst. I understand the food there is not too bad, but I wouldn't want to be there either. So with that, I know Colin and Christina in no particular order. Christina, maybe you just want to share here, and I know that Colin's been involved with some of the areas here too in just a few moments. Christina?
Yeah, we'll hear from all the councillors, then we'll take the questions and go to Lisa.
Great, thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, John. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and thank you, the organizers. I'm going to start by addressing, I'm Christina Tesser-Dirksen. I'm the local councillor for this ward. I want to start by addressing Lisa's question, and we did make a commitment at the August meeting to explore what's going on. We've been exploring it for about a year, ever since Lisa brought it to our attention. But we made a firm commitment to get into the weeds on the issue, so to speak. So we did have a meeting with our staff. Councillor Best and I were there, and they were able to share some information. And yes, I am a lawyer, but this I find very technically complex. So it does take some time to wrap your head around the process. I can report, and this is something that our staff told us that we could share, was that there is enforcement action that's happened on a number of the properties. That means legal enforcement action. So on a number of the properties, there are applications before the court. Now, there is complications here because they are NEC jurisdictional lands, as the mayor mentioned. So there's an added layer of bureaucracy, to be frank. There's an added layer of oversight and jurisdiction, and we have perimeters within which we must operate. At the August meeting, I mentioned from a legal perspective that the analogy I made was with the police. When the police are getting ready to take down a drug ringer or bring a big case to prosecution, they want to make sure they have all the evidence in place so that their case is rock solid. And that takes time. It's a slow, cumbersome process. Part of the issue with the system is that there is those layers of bureaucracy at the provincial level and with NEC and at the municipal level. But what I took away from our meeting with staff is that the most important thing, I think, to report is that there is legal enforcement underway. Because there's an ongoing legal action, we can't disclose details because it could prejudice our case. So we have to be careful with that, and that's the same with the NEC. The other thing that happened was the NEC met with our staff. And that was something that Lisa really advocated for, and we were able to support her in. And there was a meeting between staff and NEC. Again, there's not a lot of details I can share there, but NEC have basically said they understand the issues, they are aware of the properties, and they know what action they can take, which is under their jurisdiction. That being said,
there were a number of recommendations that Lisa had in her recent communication to us. And one of them was with respect to the Caledon matter, and I want to thank the gentleman who was here because that was really interesting information that I think we can use to our advantage. I did speak with our staff recently about Caledon, and my question was, is there a template here for us? Is there a precedent that we can use? Now, of course, every community is different, and I'm not sure if there were those added layers like a body similar to the Niagara Escarpment Commission in the Caledon matters, or if it was strictly just municipal. But we do have to apply a Milton Campbellville lens to everything we analyze here. That being said, staff have said they are reviewing the literature that Lisa, you forwarded with respect to the Caledon enforcement, and they want to have a discussion about that. Ultimately, the mayor said it. I mean, council, we're the ones who bring the suggestions forward or actually ask or tell staff what we want to see. So that's a conversation I think we need to take away to our colleagues and discuss how our staff can investigate. The task force idea, I really like. I brought that up with our staff as well. Thank you, Lisa. This is something they're reviewing. This is a discussion we need to have with them, I think, around council, and tell them what action we want to see. Tell them, I mean, they're staff, we tell them what we want. You tell us what you want, we tell them what we want. They are the experts, they advise us the best way forward. Always alive to the fact that we have to manage our risk because we represent all taxpayers within the town of Milton. We have to be careful that we're not being reckless. But that being said, there's a lot of open-mindedness I found around the discussions. We want to think out of the box. We want to be able to nip this in the bud. I think not reinventing the wheel is a good way to proceed. So if Caledon or municipalities that are similar have been able to lay out a precedent or a template that's replicable that we can take forward, why wouldn't we do that? So I just want all of you to understand that we are working on it. This has taken up a great deal of our headspace and a lot of our time, rightfully so, because it's extremely important, and it's going to be more cost effective for us as taxpayers and as a council if we address it early on. I think you can all agree with that. Okay, so that's on that issue. So thank you very much, Lisa, and Doriano as well for all of your advocacy around that. I am going to go forward with a few other items. Sharon said I could, because it's been a while since we've had one of these meetings. I do want to talk about a few other issues that I think might be of interest. And I just got to organize my notes here, else I'd ramble. First of all, it's not a local jurisdictional issue, but I just want to talk about rural internet because we get those questions all the time. You may have heard that back in the springtime there was an announcement of some joint funding between the federal and provincial government. There was an announcement at Milton Public Library, and my colleagues were there, that the two governments together were bringing forward about $2.5 million worth of funding for rural internet. That's for Cogeco Connection. And there has been a recent announcement at the end of August, which wasn't really that well talked about in Milton, and I did talk to Adam Vancouver, our MP, and he did say he was hoping for an echo announcement. So the announcement was originally in Burlington around additional funding that, again, the provincial and federal governments working together, isn't that nice, to bring us $219 million in high-speed internet for 300 communities across Canada, two of which are Campbellville and Moffat.
Okay.
So we're looking at strategic...
Yeah. What about Nassagaweya? Like, I'm on 30 Side Road.
Yeah.
They walk line, fourth line. We're in the dead zone.
Okay.
We got nothing.
Okay.
So, zero.
Yes, I hear it all the time. I know. So, and again, this isn't my announcement, okay? So I don't have all the details, but I think what might be helpful is to talk to our MP about having that announcement made formally so that he can take your questions and fairly answer them, because I can't fairly answer them.
But I hear about all this money, and I see nothing.
Well, the money hasn't come yet. I think, like, for this announcement, it's still in the pipeline. But I just want to let you know it's in the works, so that's part of a strategic high-speed internet rollout. Additional residential units. Has anyone heard about these, the ARUs? Yeah? So back when, just actually a day after the election, the provincial government announced Bill 23, which made some amendments to the Planning Act. And one of those amendments was meant to address this housing crisis. So what happened was the provincial government said that additional residential units were going to be permitted as of right on urban, single-detached, semi-detached, and row house lots that had municipal water and sewage services. So an additional residential unit is basically an additional residential space within the existing lot. So if you're talking about a basement apartment, or you're talking about a coach house, you may have heard this in the city of Toronto. They were introducing these types of additional small, kind of like tiny house things. Now this wasn't applicable to the rural area under the provincial legislation. However, we get lots of questions about this, myself, Councillor Bess, and the Mayor. So our planner said this is a good opportunity for us to look into what our constituents, what our residents in the rural area want as far as additional residential units. They're looking at multi-generational families. We get questions sometimes from families who say, oh, my in-laws are elderly, we want to bring them onto the property. Or, the kids are just starting out, they just got married, we want to let them live here. So how do we address additional residential units within the rural area? The challenge is that you're not necessarily on municipal water, so there's private water supply. There's environmental concerns, there's concerns about changing the character of the areas. So these are all the things that we have to take into consideration. Right now our staff are taking comments. I believe they've spoken to the NCCC and other stakeholders, so you can talk to Jennifer, you can talk to Sharon, you can talk to me or Colin or the Mayor, and get those ideas to us. Tell us your situation, if it's something that would affect you negatively, positively, if you have creative ideas about how we should address this, because staff are putting those suggestions together now. So they're looking for feedback on that.
Just on that, because you might maybe want to make mention of what happened yesterday with the minister. With the announcements.
Yes. Some of you may have heard about the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing making an announcement. Somebody already took a crack at Doug Ford, I think that was you, Sharon. But basically the minister has said that there's going to be a review of the urban boundary expansion plans that a number of municipalities had approved last year, year before, so Halton's one of them. Many of you may have known that we did, at the regional level, approve an expansion of our urban boundary, which is really southern Milton, moving south, kind of meeting up with the Oakville, Burlington, North borders. That was approved, our planners were working on it, and then the Minister of Municipal Affairs just yesterday announced that we're putting the brakes on, we need to review this, we need to take another look. And so now our poor planner is shifting gears yet again. I think this is brand new, so I don't have a lot of information to share on it, except to let you know that it's an announcement that's come forward and that I don't know how it's going to affect us. I don't think any of us know how it's going to affect us at this point, but there have been a lot of changes that have come about with this government. Some of them are reversals, which is frustrating for us because these are costly. It costs our staff time, and it causes uncertainty for us, for all of us. So thanks for bringing that up, Mr. Mayor. I will mention at our marathon council meeting last night that went to almost midnight, we did ban the sale of consumer fireworks. I thought this group would be happy to hear that. Many constituents we spoke to were thrilled about it. This doesn't mean that exhibitions of fireworks won't be permitted. You can still apply for a permit. There's going to be some serious restrictions to what you can do with fireworks. We want to talk about having professionals set off the fireworks. The permit would require a certain clearance around the area. Like, it's not going to be like your average person can just go out and do this, but it is still available for things like Canada Day. If there's groups in town that celebrate cultural or religious festivals, like Diwali, I know they really love to put on fireworks. We don't want to totally take the fun out of life in Milton, so we want to allow those types of displays to go forward. But we don't want it happening in our backyards, particularly in the urban area where it can be really condensed and dense, and I'm sure lots of you have pets that are distressed by hearing fireworks go off at all hours of the night. It's hard to sleep and it's dangerous. So we had a great presentation by the fire chief. We had 25 delegates, mostly from the industry, coming out from Etobicoke and Toronto, begging us not to go through with the ban, but what we heard from constituents was that yeah, we need to put some restrictions on the use of these incendiary explosives, and we did. So if you have questions about that, yeah, sure.
Can you confirm you are talking about this ban is throughout the entire Milton area, including rural?
Oh yes, it's applicable to the entire Milton area, rural area included. Yeah. So if you see this happening, you can get hold of us, it's very difficult to enforce. I will put a caveat on this. It's very challenging, just like the police were saying, they can't be everywhere. It's really tough for bylaw officers to get out because they actually need to physically see and witness the person letting off the firework. But we're hoping it will be more of a deterrent. It is going to affect the ability of different retailers to sell these fireworks, so they will be more difficult for people to get. The fine, I believe we decided was $800 per instance, so we're hoping that is a deterrent as well. So, if you have questions about that, just email us, and again, it's a fairly new passed bylaw just yesterday, but I think it's good news. Oh, sorry, could you repeat?
What is the process and cost to do it residential for the permits?
Okay, the question was what's the cost and process for getting the permit? That was actually my question to staff last night. And what I asked them to do was to put together a package that would be easily accessible for someone who wants to apply for the permit. I don't know what the cost is yet, and I'm not sure about the process. So again, just recently passed, we'll have to work out those details. We want to make it accessible, but we don't want to make it so that everybody can just run out and do it, because then it defeats the purpose of restricting them. Short-term rentals, we passed a bylaw requiring licenses for short-term rentals. We've got a lot of complaints out here in rural areas where people were renting out places. They were being used as party houses, parties going on late into the night, lots of noise and disruption. So now you have to have a license to operate a short-term rental, like an Airbnb or a Vrbo. Again, if you see something like that, please report it to us. We get emails about this all the time. We pass them along to our staff.
Is that Milton or Halton?
It was within the town of Milton.
So it's Milton, not
Yeah, no, it wasn't regional, it was out of town. Yeah. I don't want to keep going on because I know there's other speakers. So do you want me to take questions now, Sharon, or wait?
What do you think? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, any questions about anything I talked about or anything else I didn't talk about, Jennifer?
The auxiliary dwelling units, you said it's not for the rural area, it's only the urban area. What about farms? Haven't they always been allowed to have an auxiliary dwelling unit? Yes?
I can give a little bit of an answer to that. Now, there is always for farm labor, things like that.
Right.
But this new with Bill 23, right, the ARU, so it's not allowing that. But like we said, the town of Milton is looking at it for the rural area. But unfortunately, because of the way the Greenbelt is written, a farm in the Greenbelt is not eligible, from my understanding. So you can have 100 acres in the Greenbelt, you can't have an auxiliary dwelling, not a new lot, just the same, an extra house, like a granny house, you're not allowed legally to have it on your property.
So why is that happening on 15 Side Road where the MPP is building a house and there's 2 houses on the lot?
Theoretically, I don't know that's specific case, but I know if you're building a house, if you have enough room and you build a house off where the other one, as long as the other one's going to get demolished, then you can do that. Because you can live somewhere and then build and then you move there.
We're all watching.
Okay, I'm just.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Sir, just a little bit about worship, what you said back in July meeting, I believe. I think there was a fair bit of concern in the room. I may have misread this, but about bylaw not being, it can't be managed for various reasons. And there was, what I got out of that, there was a lack of communication between elected officials and the bylaw people. And that may not be the case, and I hope it's not. But I think my idea is you folks take the lead on policy. And if you're not comfortable telling staff here, then something's wrong. You're the leaders, you're the managers. I'm fully aware of the difference between staff and politicians. I get it.
Yeah, one of the things.
Sir, thank you. And you were very eloquent about that in that meeting. I just still have grave concerns about what's really going on, and I recognize, Christine, what you're saying about we've got to be very careful here because you're getting where we don't want to be interfering with legal action. The trouble is, some of us are in this room going, what's going on? And we don't know. And I appreciate the legalities and the privacy, but we need some information. We're not getting it. And it gets frustrating when you're trying, and we're not seeing any action by Bob. And I keep going back to that 25 fourth line property, sorry. But
there was all sorts of evidence of trucks being on there, and still even today, they're just flying in the face of what was going on, and they've been hiding it for a long time. I really don't mean to pick on some property, but that's in my bailiwick. I don't believe bylaws taking care of stuff. Okay, so tell me how they're doing. Are they frustrated? Is this happening? What is going on?
Like, we have no updates on what's going on.
Zero. No
I agree with
communication.
that property.
Yes,
We have
similarly,
absolutely
I had no
updates.
response from my email to the bylaw department.
I
No
would-
response whatsoever.
I would suggest when that happens, email us. Because we can get to them maybe a little bit quicker. I mean, there's only a few of them, you know, and they have a lot, there's a lot going on, as you guys know. We're here to
But we have-
represent
We
you.
have this list that has no details. We have no idea what's going on.
I don't think we produced that list. Was that your list?
Yeah, but it's
Yeah, that's a
it's
community
properties,
list. Yeah.
And there's nothing, we have no updates, no
Yeah.
idea what's going on in any of the properties.
Okay, well, I just told you a few of them have legal enforcement. Like,
Yeah, but which ones?
do you want me to tell you which ones?
Yeah. Sorry.
We're not getting, we see the
What
evidence.
information?
We see the evidence of nothing going on, and things continue to be going sideways again. Just keep putting back to that one property. So, what are we supposed to think, other than there's really nothing happening, nobody's watching the ship here? So what's bylaw doing?
Like, we don't know anything that's going on.
Okay, this is what
in
we're-
the properties, so.
That's why we're here, okay? That we wouldn't be here if we didn't want to answer your questions. So 13419, fifth line. There's enforcement on that one. 9319, Guelph line. There's a site alteration charge that's before the courts. 9319, oh, that's continuing on that one. And then 10275, Guelph line. That's the one with the Halloween thing. You guys heard about this? The drive-through Halloween. I've got 10275 Guelph line. I think there might be more than one, actually. So there's a series of investigations going on there, and we've had some legal consultation about the best way forward. So those are the few that I have in front of me that I can tell you tonight, exactly, specifically what's going on. Doug, I get the frustration. It'd be much easier for all of us if we had those types of very clear answers to give you. What I can say is that the work is being done. There is enforcement action going on. We're talking to whoever we can talk to get things moving along. It's constantly in front of us, and we're constantly pushing it forward on behalf of all of us. We all live here.
Yeah, but we need an update. Like, we need to know what's going on. Like, if this is nothing, like, I need to know what's going on.
At what point can you tell us?
Like, why? Because I want to know what's being dealt with. Not guessing whether it is or not.
Sorry, you're referring to the list of properties that you have. That was Lisa's list.
Yes.
So it's a community list. Sorry.
Like, it's a compiler.
Yeah. So this list was provided about a week ago. I did send it forward to staff. They were able to put together some details on these properties I just mentioned.
But what are the details?
Okay, we have to be careful about how, like, we don't know. Like, this hasn't all been investigated. I appreciate it's very helpful for us that this list comes forward, because otherwise our officers would be out there having to compile the information. So it's helpful.
Even if you say legal action is in place, you don't need to know the details. You need to know that you're doing something.
I think I've said that. We are, yes, we are doing something.
Four places. Oh, no.
Those are just the details I have on that story. Like, we're working on it. Okay, like I get the frustration, guys. Like, we're in the same boat. Like, we're trying to get this moving forward. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we live at second line, just south of 15th side, name 700. Used to be Long Lane, Orchard, and Midway, house that property. Immediately south of us, we bought there 7 years ago, so probably about 6 years ago, an individual bought the property. He's in the business of import and fill. That was done. Being done, I myself have a landfill site background, waste management for many years, professional engineer. I thought this is very questionable as to what's coming in and so on. I called the PEM, and the staff person I spoke with, and this is my question, very surprised. I worked for a couple of municipalities myself for many years, regional municipalities. The answer, I asked him questions. Was it legal? Did he have the approvals he needed and so on? The answer I was given at that time was that That's between the town and the property owner, and they cannot share anything with me. So you can imagine what my reaction to that. I called the Conservation Authority, and there was action taken, and there were some controls, etc., established. The property, of course, he's in that business, so the property has since been sold. Bill has gone in and all that kind of stuff. But is it correct that the town, not a town staff person, cannot share whether or not a property is legal in accepting this bill? That's my question.
I'm not sure the context of the conversation. I mean, I know that when I talked to staff and I said, give me some, like something concrete that I can bring to people, they said, yes, here's some properties that we know we can disclose what's happening.
No, but this is a reasonable question to ask.
I agree.
Politician. No, to ask you as well. Is your staff allowed to communicate with a neighbor, that neighbor, myself, asking what's going on next door, is it approved?
I believe so, because we've had that happen. We put people in contact with our staff who've answered those questions for them. So that's why I say in the context of that particular...
So what do I do in that case then? Who do I call next?
Email us. Really.
We did go to the politician at the time.
Was it me?
You.
Okay.
And what did that, you did that, what did that prove? What did that get for us?
It did eventually got resolved with the conservation area though? The conservation authority?
Yes. The conservation authority did react after some encouragement. But I think that's probably the frustration you're getting from some of the people here, that we're not getting answers.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
No, I agree. I think a lot of times there's supposed to be signage when you do fill at the end of the lane with a number on it. I know I've seen that on many occasions.
Oh, really?
Yeah, across the road, on the second line actually.
The permit.
For the permit number, yeah. Should be but my question.
Issued by who, may I ask, town or?
Either town or conservation or something like that. I'm not sure, to be honest, I don't know exactly. My question to councillors is we have planning staff, correct? And Milton is doing a lot of urban planning. Obviously, this truck parking is a lucrative business. Are we, in our industrial areas, making room for it and planning for it?
Very good question.
As a part of it, because, we have warehousing, but if this is a good business, but this should be parking for trucks and keep it out of the class 1 farmland, which we don't want.
Yeah, 100% good question, which we did ask about, and our planner, yes, says, just like the gentleman from Caledon said, they need somewhere to go. Like, there are legitimate businesses out there that need to park large vehicles. It's a matter of finding the right location, because it does cause traffic and everything else. We have to think about the financial impact, because the zoning affects the property tax. So if they're using up valuable employment land, that's land we can't use for jobs, and that's right. So it's a complex analysis, but yes, we did ask our planner that question, and yes, it is on their planning radar.
Have you worked with the CN? They have a lot of land there.
No, we have not worked with CN.
That's going to go in, you know that.
Yeah, in the back.
So, the gentleman came in from Caledon offering some suggestions on how they were kind of giving their scenario. My question is there anyone from our community that's going to be maybe working or taking some maybe mentorship from them on what their formulations are for how they're taking control of things? Is that kind of the plan?
Yeah, I think because I forwarded that to our staff about the task force that Caledon put together. He says, this is something we can replicate. Now, I think the gentleman mentioned that there was a lawyer and a couple police officers. So for sure, we would want some community stakeholder, I would think, either advising on that or bringing forward community concerns to that task force. That's generally how they work. So yeah, to answer your question, yes.
So that's the plan?
This is just brand new. So we haven't even had a sit-down discussion about it yet. Yeah, the lady in the black right here? That meeting was at the end of August. No, we have not put together a task force in the 2 months. No, we have to, these things take time. So we have been going through the discussions with our staff. We had one meeting with staff, NEC have had a meeting with staff. It is in the works. There's no commitment to a task force yet. I don't want to speak for all of council and our staff. This is just me. But it's a suggestion we put forward and we want our staff to explore it. So what I said earlier is that if it's a council direction, excuse me, if it's a council direction to staff, then they bring us the recommendation and then we vote on it. So maybe that's the path forward, and that's a discussion that we need to have as a council with your input. I just want to be mindful because I don't want to take up the whole night. If there's other people that want to speak, I know Colin hasn't spoken yet. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
So I have been in on a few meetings, just so everybody's aware. Milton, Holton Hills, Toronto, and some residents, some groups from Nassagaweya are working on finding solutions for these parking lots. And so this is ongoing. I just don't think that we've been on these meetings. I know Susan Spry in Holton Hills and your team has been working together because we have been identifying those parking lots coming up. They have asked for our assistance on the roads, and that's what we have been doing as well. So these trucks are going on the mill truck routes to get to these parking lots. So we're making them prove to us, because they're all saying they're doing a local delivery. And so we are dealing with this throughout the north end, so Holton is the going on to about the past year.
Thank you, Sergeant. Can I pass it along to Colin? 10 minutes. Yep.
This is number 27, Campbellville, under review for illegal extraction of soil.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Off the top of my head.
Because I voted for you because you said you were going to look after and take care of us.
Number 27. Okay, well, I better take care of it. Number 27?
Yes, Main Street. Right beside the Ice House restaurant.
Oh, yes. I know the property. Yeah. Yeah.
There was one more question way in the back. Sorry.
The other thing is now we talk about dirt for a minute. But I wonder how many of those dirt projects that are moving around here, or grinding projects, how many of those projects are government projects? Municipalities, regions, anybody else that's doing a project. And are there designated dump sites in those contracts for that material? When they shake the pavement that's coming in here in the middle of the night, it's not coming off the 401 because they work nights and it's gotta go somewhere. And at 6 a.m., if they're not open, it's at least $1,000 a minute. They don't care where those trucks go, they gotta get that over with. So is it the challenge, I would challenge the municipalities to figure out a place to create a dirt bank so that contractors don't have to have the question about where they dump it, right? Because they close that tender, tember's out, it closes in 3 weeks. You gotta start 3 weeks after that. They don't have the time to find, they're just guessing on the dump site. So they're saying, well, hopefully we'll find something close. They could probably do it tougher, but that's table one probably. So at the end, that's gotta be real clean dirt. So they start sending the trucks and hope they don't get stuck. I think that's the challenge for the town. They say, how much is this dirt? It's coming off of our side.
Okay. So, sorry, your question was, it's hard to hear from up here.
I would love a response sometime about how many, where are these trucks actually coming from? And are they, where are they coming from? Are they coming from private, or are they coming from municipalities, regions, NPOs?
Okay, so are they private or government? That's what you're saying, projects. Okay.
Thank you, Christina. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Colin Best, I'm the regional counselor for the area, and I'll be handling some of the regional efforts. And thank you, Lisa, again, for starting this and all the work, because I think you must have us on speed dial with the number of emails and very speedy. Yes, again, I share everyone's frustrations, and I'll be highlighting some of the, regarding the trucking, and I've got some other issues as well to raise. In terms of the operation of Guelph Line, I've been in contact with regional public works staff. They've been working with the police, and because one of the major problems that the region has, we don't have any skin in the game. If you look at the maps they have on the wall here, you have the NEC, which is in charge of the property. The town is in charge of the bylaws and enforcement, but the region only has the roads, such as Guelph Line, Campbellville, Side Road West, and 20th Side Road. So basically their job is to make sure the roads are maintained. So if anyone is tracking mud, dirt, or other debris onto the road, the region can take action, and they have been working with the police police on this and also having people cleaned up. We've had the same problem on Campbellville Side Road, which is a local road between Dublin Line and Guelph Line. So that is one of the issues that we have that we can do as a region. But in terms of the overall traffic, that's one thing that we had a meeting last week with the NCCC to look at overall, because I share the same frustrations you do. I just live off of Tremaine Road. I know when the 401's back up. Not only does it get quiet, Steeles Avenue and Tremaine Road gets very busy very quickly. So it's happening not only in the rural area, but also throughout the town, because even though the province says, oh, we widened the 401, that's great, but also it just pushed the issue further west, and that's why we're getting all these trucking issues. And I appreciate it. And that just to answer the gentleman at the back, the last question regarding the fill, those aren't municipal projects. If you are on a municipal project, you have to have a designated fill site. They're coming from private operations, where they're actually paying to dump. We've had the same problem, the mayor can attest, on the 8th line just south of Britannia for almost 20 years. Every time we stop them, they come back and do it again. So we have a number of issues here where we have people that are just skirting the law. And that's the frustration I share with everybody in this room, because the sites that Lisa's compiled, that's just in this area here. I know about 8 other sites in Halton Hills and Milton. The town of Halton Hills is going to court over a huge one they have by the 10th Side Road and Steeles Avenue. We've got one on 8th Line, Auburn Road. And yes, we do have updates, but basically, as the gentleman asked about the staff answer, we also are governed by provincial laws, such as the Privacy Act, what we can say to people. And the same as Councillor Tusser-Dirksen mentioned about legal issues. We get a quarterly report on all the actions, but we can't get into the level of detail that some of you want. So I share your frustration. I served on the Police Services Board for 4 years. We were great. We could talk about policy, but we can't talk about operations. We're in the same thing with legal actions, that we cannot go into the level of detail that you want, but we just get confirmation from staff that there is action. And unfortunately, as you've seen with the courts, they take months, even years to get things done. So one thing we are pressing, not only locally, regionally, but I, as the president of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, that I'm pushing it to the provincial level, because as soon as this was raised, at least I raised it with AMO staff, and they're bringing it out at our next board meeting, because I've talked to councillors from York region and Durham region, Waterloo and Hamilton. They have the same problems there, because people are basically trying to find the gray areas, the cheapest place they can park, the cheapest place they can dump soil, no matter how contaminated it is. So we're working not only at the local level, regional, but provincial level, because Milton is part of what's called the top aggregate producing municipalities of Ontario, Tapmo. And we share a lot of similar issues at Caledon, Pushlinch, and other places. If you think that truck storage is one thing, we also have the aggregate industry, which has brought in a number of other issues as well. Burlington is doing it with Nelson Quarries. We have the Reed Side Road as well. So I'd encourage you to keep involved with that, because there are legal places to park trucks. We have them in what's called the M2 zone of town, or the employment areas. You can see them on Brawny Street, you can see them on the north side of Lawson Road, between Boston Church and Squeezing. And you can see in Halton Hills, there is a legal truck parking in the corner of Regional Road 25 and 5 Side Road, where trucks park. Trouble is, a lot of these truckers are basically working independently. They're trying to find the cheapest place to park. Where's that? Somebody's farm field. So we'll be investigating these and hopefully keep you up to date on what we can say, because I've got myself in legal problems before because I've said things I shouldn't have said, and I think I've got wrapped over the knuckles a few times, as the mayor indicated. So we have to be careful and make sure we do it right, because we have a lot of issues in this town. We have the quarry, we have CN, which you think you see a lot of trucks now. Wait till, if CN comes into town. They're saying, oh, we're putting a 400-acre intermodal, we're going to reduce trucking on the roads. Yeah, they're all going to come to Milton then. And by the way, why do you own 1,200 acres? What are you going to do with the other 800 acres? They're not telling us. So I've got a lot of concerns there, and we'll keep you informed. And in terms of what Sharon mentioned about a workshop, because of this area is such a bypass route for the 401, that we're looking at putting a workshop together. Unfortunately, the budget season staff aren't available the next month or two, but possibly in February or March, We could sit down in a meeting like one like this or another one and just have regional and town traffic and engineering staff sit down and identify, as you can see on this map over here, where are the problem issues? Because you're the experts in this area. You see it every day. You know, traffic planners, they can put all the speed cameras up, you know, but they don't see the congestion at intersections where they have to be widened. And I've addressed this with staff. Because of the 401 backups, how we can improve intersections. So when they do have a backup, we can get traffic through easily and away from residential areas, because there's no way that heavy trucks should be using Campbell Avenue East. That is a windy residential road. It's not, they should be going somewhere else. And if you noticed in the last month, the columns are now going up at the new Tremaine Road Bridge. We're hoping to have the ramps on that bridge open by 2025 and completed by 2026. Some people have asked some questions. I'll be getting back to them regarding that, the impact and what we're going to be doing about that area, because you can see some large buildings going up and more coming. So stay tuned. I'll be keeping in touch. So that's the end of my presentation. Any questions? Okay, Lisa. I thought Christina was going to get all the questions tonight.
Well, yeah. Either one of you can answer. So you can address what's happening on the road. So can you put signage up? Because I know Calumet did that. They use signage to deter, to indicate that this is not an approved truck turning area on a rural road, and so that police can enforce in those areas. Because that was a question that came from a group that we met with earlier before this meeting, is if there's no signage, they can't enforce. If there's no heavy trucks on this road sign, they can't enforce. So can that be something that's addressed?
Well, the thing is, Guelph is designed for trucks. That's why it's been a regional road. Anything in a regional road, basically a truck can use. But I've raised that.
Turning in and out of
Yeah.
it's not a legal truck lot. It's
Yeah.
not.
Well, we've raised the questions you asked us in terms of entrance permits, the actual proper driveways, as well as the turning and debris. And they're getting back to us, and I'll be emailing you and everybody involved as soon as possible.
What about some of the rural roads, like 6 Line has become a truck haven for trucks going up, and so has 5th Line, because they go up to Highway 7. So 6 Line goes right from 5th Side Road all the way up to Highway 7. So does 5th Line. So like, if you need more signage out there on the rural roads to say, you're not allowed on the road here. If this is not a truck go-through place.
Yeah, well,
We need more signage.
Yeah, well, we will take that back to staff, but even when we do have huge signs, and the officers back there can tell you, we have that, give you an idea, downtown Milton, between Main Street, between Bronte and Ontario, there's large signs there. We still have trucks going through all the time. So trust me, I've seen them when Councillor Dirksen and I have been manning the farmers market. It's like, what the heck are you doing down here? Because they just ignore any signs, and I've seen that in my own life. Basically, I just had a school bus with flashing lights on Highway 25, cars just whizzing by. It's not only the trucks, it's people just ignoring the law. They're just oblivious, and that's the concern we all should have. If you see it, as people were mentioning, you have the police reporting method, callthepolice.ca. You can also call 311. If you have a regional, local, and even provincial or federal, if you're not too sure who to call or you need something, there's dispatchers 24/7. You call 311, they'll put you on to the right agency that can take care of it. And I know the police, when they're not tying up their emergency lines, you can call the 311 and get the details here. Or you can call the 3 of us here, because that's our job, being your representatives. And that's the difficulties we face, just like you do, is we're hamstrung because of legal issues, because provincial issues, that the province needs to step up, because this is not a problem just in Milton, it's throughout the province. Anyone else? Yes, again.
Whose responsibility is it when illegal fill has been dumped to do soil testing? Because I've been through this. I was assured by members of the Adjustment Committee in July regarding a property in which there was a lot of illegal fill dumped, and in which I submitted pictures of toxic substances dumped in the adjoining waterways. And I was assured that water testing and/or soil testing would be done. They referred that to Grand River, that's the area I'm in,
and said that they would be looking after all environmental concerns. And Grand River assured me that that was not in their repertoire, and that it would be referred to the Ministry of Environment. And the Ministry of Environment has told me they do not, because that is a bylaw infraction, and it has to be looked after by them.
Okay, well, I'll take
So who's responsible? Because nobody's taking responsibility. And also, in terms of this sort of lack of sharing information, what is the liability when there's a possibility of extreme contamination in a community or with individuals in nearby? If there is soil testing done and it turns out that it is contaminated, at what point do you inform the neighbors when they're on wells, and inform the community that there's a risk now?
That's a combination of issues.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because you have not only the town in terms of that decision there, but also the health department, because basically they're the ones responsible for well waters, septic systems, and through provincial regulations. But the ultimate price is if they go to sell the property, guess what? The seller is responsible for cleaning up. So if someone does a phase 1 or phase 2 environmental audit, finds this, they're going to say, oh, you're on the hook. Give you an idea, talking about truck plants, the former Meritor plant on Steeles Avenue that used to park trucks there now is being redone. It cost them $20 million to clean up 50 years of contamination. So it's something a landowner should ground or the groundwater around you. You're the one liable, and there's a lot of court cases on this issue.
I know, but I'll be dead of cancer by the time that's resolved.
Well, that's what we take that. We know the property, and we'll get back to you with that information.
I wonder where that film went.
Sorry?
I wonder where that contaminated film went. Was it done?
Yeah, well, that's the whole idea is it's a contaminated fill, and the one I was just mentioned that was all processed and deposited safely at a landfill site where it is contained by a clay base and pressure. Anyone else? Over here? Yes?
I would like to know how purchasers of rural pieces of land have to be, how real estate agents and lawyers, how could they be compelled to tell the purchaser what can be done with the land and what cannot be done with the land?
Would you like to answer that one, Christina?
Yeah, many of you may have.
Many of you may have heard the Latin term caveat emptor, right? Like buyer beware. I'm a real estate lawyer, actually. So when those issues are obvious on title, like we don't go to the property and inspect it, like we look at title. And we confirm that our clients are purchasing clear title to a property. So if there are notices that are registered or zoning restrictions, that's a discussion we would have with our clients, saying, oh, you won't be able to build on this part of the property because there's a right-of-way or there's Niagara Escarpment stuff or conservation homes. So those are the types of discussions we would have. Realtors, I work with realtors professionally, but I'm not a realtor. So as far as their ethical obligations, I would presume that they should be ethical and explain to their clients what can be done with the property. I don't know if a lot of them know, to be honest. I don't know if a lot of them go that far or if they understand what some of the properties can or cannot be used for. There are realtors in this area who are really knowledgeable about the specific restrictions on rural properties and that sort of thing. So I don't know, I don't think it's something they have regulatory bodies, right? Like there's the OREA, you have Ontario Real Estate Association, that sort of thing that regulate that type of stuff with realtors. We have the Law Society that regulate us.
This doesn't seem to be happening.
Yeah, well, just actually to follow up on that question, the town actually, our planning department has two excellent documents that are both available on the website. It's called Before You Buy and Before You Build. It has all the list of things to do. And first of all, call the town hall. Find the appropriate person to speak to that is involved in planning and building and what you can and can't do in a property, because I've heard some really hysterical things of what you can do. And by the way, no, Costco is not coming to town this year. That's the other one. That's almost every vacant piece of land near the urban area seems to have a Costco going on it. So, yes, ma'am.
More proactive for
government, our municipal government, to notify all new owners of what you can and you can't do in rural Milton?
We do, I think that's what we have these brochures for in terms of the rural areas and also in terms of coming to the town hall. And we do have information packages that you can come and get in terms of rural. It's on our website as well. And as Christina mentioned,
It should be easy if they're not following that. It should be easy to deal with them, right?
yeah, most people, and we do have, as the police have mentioned, we have various bylaws regarding regulation of the property. We have the clean yards bylaw, we have property standards, which almost every property municipality has. And a lot of it's just common sense. The problem we have is that 1% of the population that just wants to push the envelope and do these things that are going to upset their neighbors, and long term, it actually worsens their property. If they thought it through, that okay, if I'm going to go to sell this property, I'm going to have a history of bad behavior, and everybody in the neighborhood's going to know about it. I've heard about that from real estate agents that tried to sell properties. Oh yeah, everybody in the neighborhood knows what happened here. So you've got to think about what the future is. Any other questions? Just right at the back.
So I know there's been mention that the budget is kind of acting or work towards the budget in the next few months. So that's going to be not an easy time for us to reconvene and see where we're getting progress on these matters.
Yeah.
So is it safe to assume that it'll be like February, March before we can all reconvene and see where things have kind of set?
Yeah, well, we're also looking at, and Sharon's giving me the hook here, in terms of these issues, but in terms of that workshop, possibly this room or another one, we'll notify everybody that attended here through our internet information that what we want to do is people that are interested in traffic planning and what the future of the area is to come in a workshop, and not something like this, someone sitting down at a table and saying, okay, what about this intersection, what should we do here, where are the problem areas? Because I know the police could tell us with like 2 minutes exactly where the problem areas, but you're also the experts. You can see where traffic's building because you live here. 2 years ago that wasn't a problem, now it is, and we're looking to the future. Two small items as well I forgot to ask. In terms of anyone that lives at the north end of Nassagaweya, the traffic lights at Guelph Line and the 32nd Side Road, they're up. Unfortunately, Hydro 1 is responsible for the electrical services there. They've been delaying us, so we're putting all the pressure we can to get it hooked up as soon as possible. And also, if you want to help people slow down, we have some free slow down signs that, thanks to Jennifer Sibbert, loaned me that I'm still trying to get rid of. So, one more question.
Why don't we do 1, 2, and then, sorry.
Okay.
Why don't we do 1, 2, and then we're past our 8:30, so.
Okay.
I just have a question. I'd like to get some clear direction. You live on the corner of 12 Line and 25 Side. For the last 3 years, the law across the street from us has been bringing in tons and tons of film. Like there must have been 1,000 dump trucks.
Okay.
Is that contaminated or not?
It is. We were talking, we talked to the Grand River Conservation Area, we talked to the town of Milton, we talked to the Niagara, whatever commission, and everybody assured us that they would do something. And we thought the time to do it would be when they were starting to bring in the fill. Now that 1,000 trucks of fill is there, all is change the distribution of the water. Field we had is now swamp. There's coincidence with when they did that. And I think, I'm not asking for you to solve it now, but I just like some direction on who's specific.
Yeah, okay, if I could meet with you privately afterwards, we can get your contact information, we can go through. And anyone else that wants to talk to any of us here, and someone else had a question? Yes, go ahead.
Given that the budget is coming up, I'm just wondering if you could maybe ask to have a budget assignment assigned to the task force, if it's suggested?
Yeah, we can certainly raise it. Councillor Dirksen and I have been taking copious notes here and highlighting that because it's not only this issue, but we have a number of other property standards issues as well. So I appreciate that. So I'll hand it back to my boss here. Or your worship in your last duties.
Well, Lisa just wanted to give a little bit of an update.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
On this topic.
Just stay sitting if that's okay, because it really doesn't matter if I get up. Not at all. I just want to thank everybody for coming out.
for asking the questions, for pushing for more answers. I don't think we got a lot of solutions today, but there's work in progress, and I'm hoping for an update again soon. I don't know if we have another meeting coming up, so maybe you can address that, Chair, but just want to thank everybody. There's been a lot of hard work done, a lot of communications from me, and a lot of people responding back, so thanks. I really appreciate that. I appreciate that everybody took the time to come here and give us an update at least on what's being done. Baby steps for now, but we're hoping for bigger steps later.
I think we should all thank Lisa. She's been trying.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I won't be very long, and again, I just want to thank everybody. Again, I think it's really been worthwhile. I think there's one thing that the gentleman here earlier on there posed a question, I know, to me, Christina, and Colin. Who's in charge? Sir, we're talking about you. Yeah. Okay, and I really appreciate it. So I don't want to ignore that. So what I'm telling you, we are in charge, but we have to be very, very careful of even the perception of micromanaging. When we get complaints, whether it's bylaw enforcement or whatever it is, we have directors, we have managers. I don't go to the bylaw officer and say, I want you to do this, policies and procedures. Christina and Colin and I would only get ourselves into some real trouble if we ever did that, but we're in charge. We give direction as council. That's how that works. So I didn't want to ignore that, but that just happens to be the way that it works, like it or not. So I know Christina, don't go to a bylaw enforcement office and say, I want you to go out there and target this guy or that guy.
And I appreciate that. Everybody wants to go home, so I'm not going to belabor this. But at the end of the day, you gave me interest in the July meeting. In fact, it's a need to do because it's up to staff. That's the impression I got.
If we don't agree with the report, we give them, that direction. That's just the way that it works. And it works well, too, believe me. I just didn't want to ignore your question because I think it was worthwhile. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, and I also want to thank the honorary mayor because whenever we have a meeting and he is actually doing I don't know what you do, the mediating, it's a great meeting. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you for being mayor for a year. The last thing is, Lisa mentioned our next meeting. Our next meeting from NCC's perspective is going to be the one around traffic. In the interim, though, if you're on the Rural Watch mailing list, which Lori handles so well, Jennifer's mailing list, Cindy's mailing list, or the Action Milton mailing list, we're going to be sending out things as soon as the town comes forward with a plan to bring the idea of the task force to council, make sure everyone knows. I mean, I know some of us will want to delegate, and I think that being on those mailing lists at least is sort of keeping us together. So, and thank you for coming.
I just want to say thank you all to our counselors, to all the different organizations here, and remember to join. $15 doesn't cost much. And also, I just want to, this is one little personal note from our community. Your passion and your care of this community and the people around it is what makes this community great. And we do have to keep pushing the envelope. But one thing I just wanted to share, I know many of you know, maybe don't know that I grew up there, but my parents' house, the place with the Canadian flag that was painted on the garage door, just recently my parents, because the door was horrible. You couldn't lift it. It was a wood. So they replaced the door, and I made a little blurb on Facebook. And it was amazing the touching and thoughtful comments that people made and how much love. My parents aren't on the internet, but I brought my phone and I showed them all the stuff, and I said, "Oh, you blew up the internet?" And they're like, "No way!" And just that meant a lot to them. That something that my dad did just because he was proud of being Canadian. He found that it touched so many other lives, really, really touched them. So thank you very much for all those who, and if you look real close, it will be on the back shed, if you're still looking for the garage door. So, but anyways, thank you all for coming. Thank you for your passion and care of our community. And we are not letting anybody off the hook. We're just going to keep pushing, and that's the way it goes. All right, thanks for coming. And just stack your chairs as you get up.